to show you what you can create with your smart connected Thermomix. Thank you for coming to today's cooking experience and sharing in our love for Thermomix. We hope you enjoy.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to my kitchen. Thank you for joining us on this wonderful Saturday afternoon. I was going to say sunny, but the sun's gone away now. So what a perfect time to come indoors, rug up, maybe have a cuppa or a glass of wine and join us in our kitchens. We're really excited to be presenting to you today a class that we've thrown together with the team called our Low Carb Class. But what you're going to notice in the dishes that we're doing today is that there are lots of sort of family friendly meals as well, and things that can be tweaked to suit any dietary requirements that you may have. But each week we've sort of loosely themed it around something that might be of interest. So, and we have noticed that a lot of people are talking about low carb at the moment. Some people are doing keto, and obviously being ISO, listen to all this lingo, they're looking at making sure that they're, not putting on extra kilos and they're eating well. So this is our new normal at the moment, and particularly if you're in Victoria, because I know there's some people zooming in from different parts of the country who actually do have a little bit more freedom than us. But for us at the moment, this is how we're connecting with each other. And I have to say, thank goodness we've got this, because I think it'd be pretty lonely if we didn't. And with whatever's happening in the world and with you and your family at the moment, the one thing we all do know is that we do need to eat, and our family need to be fed and we need to eat well. And I think it's really important to keep ourselves healthy during this time. So Thermomix is just one of the ways that you can do that, and eating well and cooking nice meals. So welcome today. We've got 53 at the moment. I think we're expecting a few more, which is quite lovely. And I'm actually a local team leader. So with us today, we have quite a few of our team with us today. We call ourselves the Crusaders, and I think it's quite apt at the moment because we can crusade through anything. And we've also got some of our newer customers who've maybe only received their TM6 in the last, maybe a couple of weeks. So they're jumping on and they've had a briefing with their consultant, but they're jumping on to learn more. We've got some people who've had their Thermomix for a while, or maybe have a TM31 or TM5. So they're here to see what all the TM6 fuss is about. And we've obviously got some people here today whose friends have got Thermomixes and they're going, oh my goodness, stop telling me how great it is. I'm going to jump on and figure that out for myself. So welcome to all of you. I will try and give information around different bits, that's designed to suit everyone's needs. However, if there is something specific, there is a chat box there. I've got the gorgeous Cherie manning the chat. I've got a few girls presenting today who will introduce as we come along. So if you do want to just take yourself off mute and shout out a question or a suggestion, please do that as well. It's a very relaxed, welcoming environment. So, you're in a safe space. So thank you to everybody. What I'd love to do is just at the start, get a little bit of a gauge on, what's important to the people who are on here today. So we tend to break it down into a few different categories. So health, simplicity, speed, creativity, and saving money. And I wouldn't mind if you would just pop in the chat, please, which one is the most important to you. So learning new skills, someone's popped up there. So and can I just actually say, while you're doing that, just from a viewing perspective, if you've got your device in speaker view, Cherie, who's running our chat and spotlighting today, will actually spotlight whoever's presenting. So it means that you will actually get to see the Thermomix on your, as big as you can on your screen, rather than seeing lots of little tiles of people. So if you're looking at that, flick it to the other view, so you're not sort of trying to find a little box that's got a Thermomix in it. Beautiful. Try new recipes, so that's good. So that's a bit of the creativity. Seeing a new machine, so that's great. If you've got a Thermomix that's not a TM6, can you pop that in the chat as well? It'd be interesting to know, just so I can talk the language. Beautiful. Thank you. So the big secret is that all of these are benefits of cooking with the Thermomix. So you will actually experience all of them. It's really just a matter of which one's the most important to you, and they're the ones that we would focus on the most. Obviously in a group this size, it'll be a bit more of a general presentation, but what opportunities are here for you today, or what sort of solutions? Your consultant can speak to you one-on-one, and you can have a cooking experience like this one-on-one, or you could invite a couple of your friends along, and that would be considered hosting a cooking experience, which would also open you up to host rewards as well. If you don't have a Thermomix, at the end of today, your consultant can create an order link for you, send it to you, you can organise your payment, and there can be one on its way to you, and you can have it on your bench in the next 7 to 10 days. So we do have lots of solutions for everyone. And if you're in a position at the moment where your work is closed because of the current rules, we are actually busier than ever. So we've got a lot of fun in our team, and we've actually all said we're really appreciating each other at the moment because we're keeping each other a bit sane, and we've created this lovely little Thermomix bubble where our world is pretty normal as it can be. So if you'd like to know more about that, please either let your consultant know or hang on and have a chat with me at the end. Beautiful. So before we start cooking, I'd love to introduce you to the price of the TM6. So the TM6 is our smart connected kitchen, and it is $2,269. So it does come with different payment options. That one of those does include a 24 months interest-free or 3 months over 3 payments over 3 months on a credit card. And one of the other ones, which is actually proven to be very popular at the moment, is to earn your Thermomix. So if you'd like to know a bit more about how to earn a Thermomix or get a half price Thermomix, again, have a chat with me about that at the end, please. Lovely. So what we're going to do is we've got lots of fun things that we're cooking today. And I should mention to you that we'll probably go for cooking for about an hour and a quarter, and then we'll allow about sort of 15 minutes at the end. So the whole thing should be go till about 3:30, and there'll be questions, certainly ask questions throughout, but when we present at the end, if you'd like to ask specific questions, please do that, because it's your feedback and questions that guide us as to what to do next and what else you might like to see. So here on this sheet here are all the different functions that you can see in the TM6, or that the TM6 can do. We will be doing a lot of those today, but if there's something on there that we're not doing today and you'd like to see it, again, please reach out to your consultant. So I'll give you a little bit of a rundown of today's menu. So we have the gorgeous Chelsea over in Glen Iris presenting you with a sour cream and paprika chicken dish. We also have Susie, who is doing a Seedy low carb bread for you, which she's made herself a couple of times and has raved about it to us. So she said, I'd love to present that because it's something that her whole family enjoy. She's also going to do a creamy chicken cauliflower soup, which is a Skinny Mixers recipe. So I know Skinny Mixers have quite a big following. So if you are a Thermomix Skinny Mixer follower, we do have a couple of collections on Cookidoo as well. So that means you can actually access it as guided cooking. Then I'll be actually making today a tandoori paste. So I want to just show you how quick and easy that is and talk about different applications for that, and then popping that into a creamy vegetarian curry with cauliflower rice. So cauliflower gets a lot of airtime when you're talking about low carb. So there's a lot of different things you can do with the good old basic cauliflower. So, and then we've got gorgeous Julie doing a raw Lamington slice, because we kind of went, we can't not have dessert. That's what we're all about. So hopefully we've got something that'll tickle your fancy today. I like to always say that if what we're making today isn't what you and your family, would like to see or like to cook, please talk to us, because there are so many different things we can do. And the thing to really pay attention to is what function we're using. So whether we're making, a curry or a soup or a dessert, the functions are what make translate those to other dishes. So we can share that information with you as well. So I'm going to just show you, for those who may not have seen one in the flesh, and you're going to see a few today, this is the TM6. It's our smart connected kitchen with the language of Thermomix recipes. For those who are TM31 or TM5 owners, you'll be familiar with the language of time, temperature, speed. So we've got time, temperature, and speed. What the TM6 offers is the ability to search the internet directly through the screen here, and then going over the other direction to all of these different modes. And then I'm scrolling to the next screen there because we've got another mode over there, and as you can see, plenty of room for a lot more modes. So based on the fact that some of these dishes today go in the oven for about an hour, I'm going to go straight to Chelsea, but we will get a bit more up close and personal with the TM6 screen as we go through the demonstration today. And if you are a TM5 owner without a cook key, I would encourage you, if you get a cook key, you too will have a smart connected kitchen. There are still a few modes that the TM6 does that the TM5 doesn't, but if you're looking for guided recipes and that ease of cooking and variety and creativity, the cook key is your answer to that as well. Alrighty, so thank you for listening. Has anyone got any questions so far? No? Beautiful. Anything in the chat, Cherie, that I need to know? All good. Thanks, Milan. Beautiful.
No, all good.
All
Thanks,
good.
Michelle. I'll hop over to Chelsea.
Beautiful.
Lovely, thanks everyone and welcome to my kitchen. I'm in Glen Iris and as Michelle mentioned, I'm going to be cooking for you today the paprika chicken with a sour cream sauce. So I'll just pop this down here so you can see my screen, my Thermomix properly. So this is the first time I've made this and I have saved this to my recipes which I've put into my week to serve as a cook today, which is something that you can do through Cookidoo. So with the guided cooking, I can just click on the start cooking button and it'll guide me through what I need to do. So it asks me to preheat my oven, which I have already done to 180 degrees. And then I just need to click next and I'm going to place parsley in and then next with my lid on and measuring cup. Next, it's asking me to chop this for 3 seconds and then at speed 7. Okay, and then I just need to hit next. It's asking me to transfer that into a bowl, but I'll just quickly show you how finely that has chopped that parsley. Now this is just going to be used for the garnish at the end, so I'm not going to be too careful in sort of getting it all out of my bowl because I think it can add a bit of flavour to the dish as well. So I will set that aside and then hit next. Now it's asking me to put in 1 onion, approximately 150 grams, and cut into halves. And then 2 cloves of garlic, which I have here. In. And then again, this is going to chop my garlic and onion for 3 seconds at speed 7. And then click next. It's asking me to scrape down the sides, but I'll just quickly show you how finely that has chopped my onion and garlic. I don't know about you, but I don't think I could do it that finely in 3 seconds. So that adds to the speed of getting, without cooking with the Thermomix. So I'll just scrape down the sides of there. And then next it's asking me to add 20 grams of olive oil. So I will just drizzle that in. And you can see that the scales are automated and climb there for you. Okay, and next. It's asking now for 3 teaspoons of sweet paprika, and then my next ingredient will be 40 grams of tomato paste. So I've pre-weighed those out into the one bowl. So I will pop those in. And then next, measuring cup, and next now it's going to saute these for 3 minutes at the Veroma heat at speed 2. So whilst that is sauteing away, I'm going to send you over to Susie in her kitchen.
Hi, Susie. You're on.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to my kitchen in Aspendale Gardens. First of all, I'm going to cook Seedy low carb almond bread. So I'm just going to move the camera so that you can see my screen. Hopefully you can see this. I'm just going to adjust it for a sec. Okay, so I've actually discovered this recipe quite recently, and it's from Cookidoo, the American Cookidoo USA. And yeah, since the first lockdown, at the end of the first lockdown, I decided to try and go a little bit more low carb, and I've actually made this quite a few times. It keeps really well in the freezer, and yeah, so I'll show you how I've saved the recipe for it. So I've actually created some collections in my Cookidoo. Hopefully you can see. Can you see the screen?
Yes, Susie.
And this is in my low carb meals collection. And I'll just scroll down, and there's my Seedy almond low carb bread. Okay, so one of the things, interesting things about this recipe is that actually in the American empirical measurements, so it actually weighs everything in ounces. And sorry, I've actually wanted to go back to the start. So a preheat oven for 350 degrees Fahrenheit. So that's exactly the same as 180 degrees Celsius. I've already greased my loaf pan with baking paper. So 7 ounces of almonds, which I've pre-weighed. We've got gluten-free oats, 3.5 ounces. So I'm just going to mix these or grind these. So insert the measuring cup and bring it up to speed 10 for 10 seconds. So as you can see, the almonds, it's done a really good job of milling up the almonds. So you never need to buy almond meal. And next we've got 1 ounce of flax seeds or linseeds. Two ounces of sesame seeds. 2 ounces of pumpkin seeds. Oh, I'm just a little bit over, but that's okay. You can pop them on top. And 6 ounces of Greek yogurt. And 1 ounce of extra virgin oil, olive oil. So that's the only one that I didn't have pre-weighed. There we go. 1 ounce of honey. So I've actually made this with maple syrup in the past because I often don't have honey, and it worked really well with maple syrup, so I'm just going to go with maple syrup again today. And oops, that was for 3 eggs. And a teaspoon of baking powder, half a teaspoon of baking soda, and 1 teaspoon of salt, which I've already pre-weighed in there. Okay, so this is just going to mix for 20 seconds at speed 4. Okay, I could see just that it had already mixed enough, so we go on to the next step. That's the batter. It's all mixed up really well, and I'm just going to pour that into the loaf pan. Now it says to sprinkle it with milk, or sorry, to brush the top with milk. the first time I made this, I actually forgot to put the milk on, and it was absolutely fine. So yeah, I'm not going to bother brushing the top with milk today. Okay, do you want to go back to, I'm going to pop this in the oven for 50 minutes, and I'll just give it a sprinkle with, some pumpkin seeds, and I'll pop it into the oven. Do you want to go back to Chelsea?
Just the camera is a little bit, if you could lower the camera, we'd be able to see a bit more. That'd be great.
Okay. Can you see that a bit better?
Yeah.
Thanks.
I'm just going to pop that in the oven now.
Thanks,
And will I
Susie.
move
I'm
on to
gonna.
the soup now, or will I wait? Would you want to go back to Chelsea?
I'm gonna go back to Chelsea.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks, Susie.
Okay, yeah, that's in the oven now. So I'll see you in a few minutes for the soup.
Okay, so mine's all sauteed down there with the tomato paste and paprika. So my next is 100 grams of white wine. And then this time we're going to do it without the measuring cup. So this is just a very quick next step. And then we're going to put this on for another 2 minutes at the Varoma heat at speed 2. So just one step from me for this next one, and then we're heading back to Susie to start on her chicken soup.
Thanks, Chelsea.
Thank
Susie,
you.
you want me to come back to you? Susie, we're back to you now.
Okay, yep. Okay, the Seedy mixture is creamy chicken and cauliflower soup. This is a really simple recipe, and in this it actually shows the function of the Varoma dish, where we steam the chicken at the same time as we cook the cauliflower and the stock underneath. So I've pre-weighed, there's 800 grams of cauliflower florets in there, so it almost fills the bowl. So just popped it in the bowl, and so we'll mix that for 6 seconds on speed 4. Like that. And I'm going to add 600 grams of water. Actually, I'll just show you what 6 seconds is done for the cauliflower. So you can see you get a really fine texture. That's a lot of cauliflower. It filled up the whole bowl. So this is you can use for a low carb diet if you're having a lot of cauliflower rice. The Thermomix does a really good job with that. I'm just going to pop in the water, 600 grams. Oops, that went over, that's okay. Leave it over. And I've got, it actually says to use chicken stock paste, but I've got some veggie stock paste that I've made from scratch in my Thermomix. Actually, I've run out of chicken stock paste, I remember today, but veggie stock paste works really well instead of chicken stock paste. I'm just going to bring up the scales. And I'm just going to go with 40 grams. Next. And half a teaspoon of ground black pepper. And I'm just going to put the Varoma dish on top. So I'll just show you that. So I've already put the 800 grams of chicken breast, so which I've cut up into small pieces. I've got it on the tray and making sure that the steam can come out through the side vents. And I've got just the remainder in the bottom, so there's plenty of space for the steam to come through there. I'm just going to pop that on top. So we sprinkled the chicken with a tablespoon of taco seasoning. So I actually made this morning because I actually haven't made this particular recipe before, and it had lots of everyday ingredients. I had actually had everything in the pantry to make this, so it's freshly made. So I'm just going to sprinkle that on top. So that'll give it lots of flavor. Put the lid on, and the first part will steam that for 15 minutes. Speed 2, I'm just going to show you that. So yeah, we'll go back to
I think I'm heading over to Julie now.
oh, Julie, sorry.
Does Chelsea have to do her last step?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'll pop over to
Put
Chelsea.
chicken in the oven, please.
No worries.
Sorry, guys.
That's okay.
Chelsea, we're on.
So I'm going to move through my last bits of this sauce. Sorry, I'll just take that. So now I'm adding in 50 grams of water. And then 2 teaspoons of chicken stock, which I have also made in my Thermomix. I'm almost out, so I will need to make some more. It's along with the vegetable stock. The chicken stock is something that I use all the time, and it's delicious. And I love that there's no preservatives or anything like that in it. So it's a great one to have in the fridge all the time. So 2 teaspoons of chicken stock, some pepper. Sorry, I'm just going to grind that straight in. I'm not without measuring, which is fine. And then 100 grams of sour cream. So I'll just pop that in. Now this is going to cook for another 2 minutes. But so I'll just pop that straight onto the chicken. But while the recipe does say to use chicken thigh, but I'm going to use chicken breast today. And I'll just quickly show you, because it will go straight into the oven because it does take an hour to cook. So I have popped this into my casserole dish. I've chopped the chicken into small pieces. And so I will, once this sauce is cooked, I will pop that straight into the oven, and I'll see you at the end to show you the finished product. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Chelsea. I think now we can hop over to Julie with her lamingtons. Go.
Hi everyone, I'm Julie. I'm actually making the raw Lamington slices today, and I've never made them before, but I've always wanted to make them. So when we said we're doing low carb, I put my hand up straight away for making something sweet. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to bring you closer to my there. Can you see that okay?
Yeah, that's perfect.
Perfect. All right, so we're going to start cooking. So firstly, it's just going to ask us to line a square baking tin. Okay, so with baking paper, so I've got that already done. All right, and then 200 grams of raw cashews. So I was pretty excited as well because I've got all these ingredients in my pantry already. So we'll click next. Okay, coconut. Click next. Coconut oil. Now, if you don't have enough cashews, you could probably add some almonds or whatever else nuts you've got really in the pantry. I had cashews today, so I've just popped them in there. Maple syrup. Okay, so I didn't have maple syrup, but you can use probably malt sugar or honey. So I've used honey, and I've put in my vanilla paste together, so I'll pop that in there. This is also paleo friendly. It's got honey, but if you use the maple syrup, that's also paleo friendly as well. I don't think malt sugar is paleo friendly though. Click on next. Okay, and then for 15 seconds, it's just going to quickly blend all those ingredients together.
That would also be vegan friendly.
All right. I don't know about you, but I'm pretty excited when I can make a dessert really quickly. So if in 15 seconds I can whip up some ingredients together, I'm pretty excited. So that's what it's done in 15 seconds. That's looking pretty good. I think I could probably eat that right now. And click on next. It's just going to ask us to scrape the sides down. And like I said, I haven't made this before, but most of the recipes on the guided recipe, you really can't go wrong with it. So click on next again. I think it's just going to give it another quick blend again for 15 seconds. Next, and now it's just going to ask us to transfer it onto our tray. Okay, it did say with damp hands it's probably easier to press down on it, so I don't know whether while I'm doing this you want to pop onto someone else, or was it Michelle, you making tandoori paste?
Well, I am, but we've actually got a surprise addition to our menu today.
I do like
because gorgeous Denise is actually going to show us how to make a cauliflower pizza base. It's her daughter's birthday today, so I wasn't sure if she was going to sneak away to do that or not, but apparently she is. So, Denise, if you're ready, we can come to you first.
I am ready.
You are always ready, my friend.
Awesome. Hi everybody, and thank you to my camera girl with the mostest who's turning 17 today, Eliza, for giving up this hour and a half for filming. Are we all good? Oh, there we go. There's the thumb. Alrighty. So low carb is something that I've actually been consuming for a couple of years now. I had some girlfriends who really got into it, and I started playing around with it a little bit, and I found that the more I learned about it, the easier it became. And it is something that just tweaking up recipes, as you get to know how you can substitute things, you can actually really easily do this yourself. So in searching around yesterday for different types of pizza-based recipes, I do have some non-Cookidoo recipes that I was using before we actually got a whole lot of low-carb recipes on Cookidoo. But I did search and search and search and search on Cookidoo, on all the international platforms as well, and actually found quite a few low carb pizza bases. So just coming in here to my recipes, I created a collection, and I have quite a few low carb collections in here. Oops, here we go. It always likes to reset back to 0. Okay, so we've got low carb for Denise, low carb desserts, low carb family dinners, low carb pizza, low carb snacks, low carb soups, etc., etc., etc. So here we go. I actually found 7 low carb pizza recipes browsing all around Cookidoo last night, and they're not necessarily tagged as low carb because not all of the other countries actually have those tags. Some of these recipes are international recipes, and most of these I haven't tried yet. So it was actually a really cool little experiment. One of these is made with a broccoli base rather than cauliflower. You might go, ook, but I actually think that'd be quite exciting to try. This one is a dessert one by Joe Witten, Quirky Cooking. And a lot of these look really interesting to me, and they're all using different techniques. So I just think you can really be very creative, and there are a lot of different ways to create these types of pizzas. So I've chosen this one today, and I'm just going to make the base, not actually cook the pizza, because I'm going to freeze it. I like to make things ahead and freeze them. So what I've done here is I've skipped the step of making my own ricotta. That's something that we could probably do on another program like this. It's really super simple, but I've actually got ricotta in the fridge. So I'm skipping that step, and I'm going straight down here as I look into the recipe to the pizza step. So knowing that you can browse the whole recipe like this, you can actually skip to parts of the recipe. So I'm going to skip to this step here, and I've already preheated the oven. So that's ready to go. I lined tray and I've pre-done this step where I've cut the cauliflower up and made what is effectively cauliflower rice, which I also love to do a lot. So I did that and I put this in the oven for 15 minutes, and every 5 minutes I mixed it all around so that it didn't burn. And it's basically done a bit of a pre-cook on the cauliflower and taken quite a lot of the moisture out of it. So I'm up to that step now, and that's cooled. So here we go with the Parmesan cheese. So there actually aren't that many ingredients in this, and it's really pretty super simple. So here we go with 80 grams of Parmesan. In we go, and we need to make sure that we've got a really dry bowl when we're grating cheese, because this is a dry process, and it means that if you've washed your bowl and dried it, please also use your grate turbo function to spin any moisture off the underside of the blade, and then give your bowl one other wipe so that we know it's really, really dry. Here we go with Parmesan. We're going to, this will dull the sound for 10 seconds. There we go. Alrighty, absolutely. Gosh, this is just always so impressive what it does to Parmesan cheese, hard Parmesan cheese, in only 10 seconds. Alrighty, so we're leaving that in the bowl, and now we're going to add the cooled cauliflower. So this is what it looks like, the cooled cauliflower that's been kind of lightly toasted or roasted. It's a little bit cooked, it's got a little bit of flavour in it, but you absolutely don't want it burnt, which is why you have to mix it during the cooking process, because the sides do tend to cook before the inside. So what I'm going to do is roll this up a little bit and see if I can do this. Here we go, up into the bowl and transfer it neatly this way. There we go. Now, knowing that there are a whole lot of different ways to achieve the same result, you can actually, in another recipe, steam, create the cauliflower rice and steam it in here in the basket. And then to get rid of the moisture, you actually then need to put it in some kind of a bag or a chucks cloth or even a tea towel and squeeze the liquid out of it. So I've chosen to sort of do it through the oven process. There is another recipe as well where you don't do any of this and you just make the pizza base, but then it needs to cook for a lot longer, about 45 minutes in the oven. But in some way you need to sort of cook the cauliflower for this length of time. Alrighty, so there goes the cauliflower. In goes 1 egg. So what we basically need to do is to have something that will bulk out the pizza base other than wheat flour, and then something to bind it. So the egg is the binding, and then also the cheese. So we've already got Parmesan in there. This recipe adds ricotta, but quite a few recipes actually add cream cheese. So that's another option for you there. So in goes that ricotta, 80 grams of that. And then we simply mix. 6 seconds, speed 7. Okay, we're going to do a bit of a scrape down. Let's have a look. Speed 7 means that your ingredients are going to get up into the top section of the bowl. So quite often you will need to do a scrape down if you're mixing at that higher speed into the bottom of the bowl, and probably go again. This has got a really nice goopy consistency, and we're going to, as per the instructions, give it a bit of another whirl. There we go. Now, what we have to do with cauliflower bases and things like this is we have to create the shape ourselves. So we're going to spread this out onto a tray. Now I'm doing a round one onto a pizza tray, but equally you could make this square and do it onto just a normal oven tray. And you could make one big one or two small ones. So I'm going to get this out. And my husband and I often do low carb while the kids enjoy a regular style pizza. So I will probably do one large one because that will mean that he and I can have that one day. And we do make a lot of doughs in this house. I make my own bread every 2 or 3 days, make a loaf of bread. Yeah, pizzas are a regular occurrence in our house. So it's nice to have this kind of a base on hand. Buying this in a supermarket would cost an absolute fortune. I don't know if anyone's ever seen the prices of those, but here we go. So it's actually a really lovely consistency and it's just super easy to actually spread out. Now, if you're not into cauliflower, as I said, there's a broccoli alternative that I found that's in a different language, which I'm actually really keen to try. And there's even a sweet potato. So if you just think of any vegetable that you like, how you could cook it and bind it together with cheese and maybe an egg mixture to get it into something like this consistency that you can bake, and then it will keep its structure. There's also another type of recipe you can do for a low carb pizza that is called a super dough, and I learned these through a recipe group called Seedy and the chef. They do a lot of low carb stuff as well. They were around sort of before we had our cookbooks on Cookidoo, and they do a super dough that is just completely made of cheese. It doesn't have vegetable in it, so it's a lot of mozzarella cheese and cream cheese, and then it uses psyllium husk and xanthan gum to keep that together. And that is actually a really beautiful pizza dough. In fact, that was one of the first ones that I made. But this one is really lovely because you get all of the nutrition associated with the vegetable content. So here you go. I've just about got that into the beautiful circle that I want. And that is then just going to go into the oven and bake for about 20 to 25 minutes until it is solid and formed. And at that point, I will let Michelle know, or Sharina, that I'm ready to come back and show you what it looks like. There we go. Ready for the oven.
Thanks so much.
Thanks,
That looks so good. Back to you, Michelle.
Hi. Hey, I actually saw someone just put in the chat you can do a pizza. I was thinking that too. I've seen it in the, I think it was the Pete Evans paleo book, which you could also do in your Thermomix because you can mince all your meat in your Thermomix. So you could do a combination of beef, chicken, pork, whatever you wanted to do and lay it out that way as well. As Denise said, those things freeze really well. And for those cooking for a family, if you're doing a low carb diet, as Denise said, you could make regular pizza bases for the kids. So you know, you can really mix that up as well. So what I'm making for you today is a tandoori paste, and then I'm going straight into a vegetarian curry dish with cauliflower rice. It's actually on Cookidoo as a chicken dish, but I often make it vegetarian. So again, recipes are there as a guide. We call it guided cooking, but actually it's a guide, it's not controlled. So you're in control and you can pull recipes or pull ingredients in and out as you see fit. So meats are probably not for the vegetarians, but this one is. So I'm going to bring my screen over here to my machine, and I've got the right label up there, tandoori paste. And I've actually got here, and I'm just going to tilt the camera down for a second because I've got all the ingredients on this tray here. And I must admit, for me, I've never done any Indian cooking before I got the Thermomix, and I always was a bit daunted by all the ingredients. So I wanted to sort of show you those, just so you know. Is anyone else, give me maybe a thumbs up or pop in the chat box if some of those sort of cooking with lots of ingredients is a bit daunting. So that's how I sort of found it. I was always a very simple cook before Thermomix came along. So I've experienced a lot of those benefits, and creativity being one of them. So I have on my screen here, so I'm going to bring you down to my screen. I had actually saved the recipes in my week. So far you've seen people have saved them in different collections. I've saved it in my week, which is my weekly planner, and I can just pull that recipe up from there. So can everyone see that screen okay? Yep. Okay, so if I want to know what my ingredients are, I can actually scroll down and it lists all my ingredients down the left-hand side there. It lists the method on the right-hand side, and then any sort of hints and tips to the side there as well. And then right down the bottom here, it's got your nutritional information. So for those following a low-carb diet, you can have a look at what carbs are in certain dishes and really monitor it that way as well. So when I'm ready to go, I can just go start cooking, because obviously I have got my ingredients already here. And I didn't put them all together just so you could see what I had. So I've just got a tablespoon there of coriander seeds. The beautiful thing about these ingredients is that once you've got them, you buy a packet of them, you've got them in a cupboard for a while. So next, so it's 1.5 tablespoons of cumin seeds. Just going to pop those in there. So I often say, it's a bit, I sound like I probably repeat myself a little bit, but you don't need to know how to cook, you just need to know how to read. So the next ingredient is cardamom pods, black cardamom pods. And if you haven't seen them before, that's actually quite a large one. But they sort of almost look like a dried up sultana or something like that. So but you know, again, if you only had the green ones in your pantry, I just use them anyway, because that's the beauty of this. And then the other thing is 10 whole cloves, which I've just mixed in with the cardamom pods. So in they go. So the next ingredient is the Cashmere Chili. That's where it gets the beautiful red colour from. So that's the Cashmere Chili here. Now, if you don't have that, I wouldn't substitute equal quantities for standard chili powder. The Cashmere Chili is not as hot. It actually has a warmer flavour. So it'd probably be more similar to, say, a paprika for the heat. If you were just doing regular chili powder, I'd maybe halve that, because I have one of my girlfriends did that and she said it was really hot. If you like hot food though, go right ahead. The next ingredient is a tablespoon of ground turmeric, which I've got right there ready to go. I love all the beautiful colours of the Indian spices as well. So cinnamon, which smells beautiful, wafting up at me here. So 2 tablespoons of ground cinnamon. Now, if you didn't have ground cinnamon in your pantry, but you did have a couple of cinnamon sticks, you could grind that up yourself. So I've just got a tablespoon of salt next. 60 grams of brown sugar, which I've pre-weighed here. Now, for those following keto, I know that my colleagues who are doing that have used a sugar substitute there that is keto friendly. So again, you can play with that. So the next ingredient is my tomato paste. Now, I didn't make my own, I did buy it. So I'm just gonna straight from the jar here and in. Almost there. Beautiful. Now the next 2 ingredients is garlic paste and ginger paste. Now I'm just going to cut straight through. Rather than making ginger paste, I'm just going to put straight garlic in and straight ginger in. So again, you can substitute those things. Now you can make garlic. Now I was a bit short on that, but it doesn't matter. It's a very forgiving recipe, and if you do like flavours more than others, you could put more coriander seeds or less cumin, or you know, whatever takes your fancy. And then I've just got ginger there, as you can see, sort of cut into chunks. And the last ingredient is 200 grams of olive oil. So what I can tell you about the TM6 is it does weigh in 1 gram increments. So I've got my big easy pour here, and I'm just going to go fast at the start, seeing as I know I've got to get up to 200. It's quite funny, it almost makes me dizzy watching the numbers go up individually there. All right, so we're nearly at 200 now, so I'll ease off a little bit. Beautiful. So without pouring it everywhere, I'm just going to show you that the bowl's sort of almost half full of all those beautiful ingredients. And the next step, and this is honestly where the magic happens, insert the measuring cup into the mixing bowl. So I've popped the lid on there. For those of you who are not familiar with TM6, this is a very cool measuring cup. So it's a new design with the TM6, and it actually locks in. So means that I'm not going to take my lid off and have my measuring cup fly across the room. If you do have a TM5, it is actually also compatible with that as well. So this recipe now is only 20 seconds. There's no temperature, and on speed 9. So I'll just pop up to speed 9 for 20 seconds. And that is the tandoori paste done. And that, hang on, let me get a bit more, better light on that. Can you see that okay? I feel like it's a bit dark today. How's that for you guys? Is it a bit dark or can you? Here we go. Beautiful. And what I will do is show you. So what I've got here ready to go is a jar and my jam funnel. So a jam funnel doesn't just have to be for jam. And now I can pop this in the fridge and use it for anything that I need tandoori paste for. Now the other option is that you can pop it, I might have overfilled my jam funnel there. You can also pop in ice cube trays if you wanted to, there we go, because that'd be about a tablespoon. So if you're not going to use it sort of quickly, that'll preserve it a bit longer. Although I have found popping it in a jar in the fridge with a bit of olive oil on top does actually preserve it very well as well. So has anyone here not made that before and think maybe you will now? I'm actually just going to tilt my screen up so I can see if there's any yeses or, you know, thumbs up. Would you make that now that you've seen it? Cool, because I know for me there are things that I haven't made until I've seen someone else do it and go, oh, actually, it sort of demystifies it a little bit. So with that in mind, the reason I decided to make that today is because I was due to make some anyway, and because I was making the curry, I thought it was perfect opportunity. So I'm going to bring my screen back in here, and it just says here, transfer to a sealable jar. And cover it with a bit of extra olive oil, which is what I said, and then pop it away. So I'm going to go straight into the first part of my curry. And this curry, as I mentioned before, it's actually a chicken recipe. So it's actually called, oh, have I got, oh yes, here we are, creamy coconut chicken curry. But as I said, I'm going to make it vegetarian. Now, this is the TM6 version. If you've got a TM5 or TM31, there is a version on there for those models as well. They've just rewritten a version that includes the high heat function. So that's the other reason I chose this recipe today, just to show you a couple of different modes on the TM6. So I'm going to go straight into start cooking. And the first thing we're doing is making the cauliflower rice. So as I mentioned before, cauliflower does get a lot of airtime when you're talking about low carb, but it's such a versatile vegetable. And I do have a lot of friends who do substitute broccoli or do a combination of cauliflower and broccoli rice. So this just wants me to weigh in 350 grams of the cauliflower. And you can see I haven't over prepared it. I've just got sort of florets that I've broken off my cauliflower. So short there, beautiful. So next, so just insert the measuring cup. And now it's preset 5 seconds. This is the beauty of the guided cooking. It's asking me to go to speed 5, and you notice it's in reverse. And it does that because it doesn't want to chop it up and make it go floury. We want it to look like rice. So what I'm going to do is actually pop my varoma there, because it's going to ask me to transfer it to the varoma. So as I pour it in, you'll be able to see that consistency of rice there. Now, if when you do it, you get any rogue bits that might be a bit big, you can pull them out and give them another go, but I'm thinking that that looks pretty good. Now, this actually does, the recipe is for 700 grams, but it does it in 2 batches, so you get that even chop. So if it was going to be a soup, like what Susie did, she put the whole cauliflower in, and that was okay because that's going to end up as a pureed soup. But for this one, because it's actually going to be as rice, served as rice, we do it as 2 different ones. So that's a good tip if you're doing any of our salads, coleslaws, tabbouleh, anything like that, to don't double the recipe. They only take about 4 or 5 seconds anyway, so do it as 2 batches and you'll get a much more even chop. All right, so that's just another 5 seconds there. Beautiful. And I'll pop that also into the varoma. So the funny thing in my family is that they all still like rice as well. So what I normally do is actually mix the cauliflower in with the curry and then still make them normal rice. My husband's quite funny. He loves cauliflower, but he says he doesn't like cauliflower pretending to be rice. So I wonder if what would happen if I made him a pizza base. Some people say their families don't even realise that that's what they've done. So that's a bit of a win for the mum if she can sneak that in that way. So the next, now it says to clean and dry the mixing bowl. I'm not going to, because the cauliflower that's still in there is up the sides of the bowl, not on the base. And if that goes in my curry, I generally stir it through at the end anyway, so I'm okay with that. So the next ingredient is some ginger. So I've just got a couple of pieces of ginger here. It says 10 to 15 grams, so I've got 15. I'm a little bit heavy-handed. And a garlic clove. Mine were quite small, so I've got 2 small garlic cloves there. And then it says 1 to 2 chilies. Now, my kids don't like it too hot, so I've actually just got half a green chili and I've taken the seeds out. But what I'll do is I'll add some fresh chili to ours later. A little tip if you do like cooking with chilies, I tend to buy a few at a time and actually keep them in the freezer. And that way I've always got a chili on hand. So now it's just going to chop those things for 3 seconds. So 3 seconds, speed 7. So the instructions down here, the little line on the dials there, and just flip it around. And I think, as Chelsea said earlier, I don't know about any of you, but I wouldn't be able to chop those things as fine as that in 3 seconds. Probably wouldn't be able to get them that fine in any amount of time. So I wish you could smell this, because the smell of the ginger and the garlic and the chili, particularly the ginger, is just beautiful. So that's the nice thing about cooking with all these kind of fresh herbs and spices. You just get these lovely aromas in the kitchen. So do not scrape the bowl. And the reason for that is because now I'm adding the onion, and the onion's going to cook in a high heat. So it's asked me to cut it into wedges. So you can see there, I've just done some wedges. Nothing, nothing too tricky. So my onion was all quite large, so it's a little bit over. With the high heat, we do like it to be as close to that weight as possible. So we say, I often joke and say, with great power comes great responsibility. So with that, we do follow those instructions a bit more closely. There we go, 20 grams of olive oil. Popping my lid on there. Next. Now, it wants me to splash the splash guard on now. So this is an accessory that's only necessary for the TM6, and it is for when you're doing the high heat functions or any sugar work. And what that does is it blocks the hole, so it makes it very safe, but still allows the steam to escape around the outside. So it wants me to pop it on. I have to say done, that I've done that. And now it's 4.5 minutes, maximum temperature. So the high heat's around 160. And this is the mode here. And with modes, there's no number, it's just on or off. So to turn it off, turn it on rather, one little click to the right, and it's now actioned that mode. So while that's doing that, can I just check in with the team? Has anyone got something that I can come back to you, or do you want me to? Oh, Julie. Julie's got a hand up. I think she's got some chocolate ganache to make.
Okay, so what we need to do now is we have to make I took too long, my Thermomix is about to shut down, but we need to melt our chocolate. So I'm just going to turn it back on. So I've just got some Lindt dark chocolate, which I've just broken into pieces. I'm just waiting for that to turn back. I've just brought a packet of Lindt chocolate. I always have these at home. My kids love eating it, so that's a bit of a bonus as well. So what I'm going to do is bring you down here. We just have to wake it up a little bit. All right, we have to want to resume. So I've got some dark chocolate in there. Pop on our lid. Click next. Next, and for 10 seconds, it's just going to grate the chocolate. Now, the reason why it actually grates it is because it just makes it a little bit easier for when we melt it. So I don't know if everyone can see that, but that's what it's done in 10 seconds. Okay, so I'll pop that back in. Next. And that's just actually going to melt the chocolate for about 3 minutes at 50 degrees. I found that sometimes when I'm actually heating up after I've made like my chocolate topping and everything, if you find that when you're cutting it, sometimes like the chocolate breaks apart on the top, you can add a tiny bit of coconut oil, like a teaspoon, and that just makes it a bit softer, the chocolate as well. My kids are waiting quite patiently because they've asked me not to clean the bowl too clean, so then they can have some hot chocolate. So that way, it's a good way of cleaning our bowl as well. So what I'm going to do is, do you want me to go back to you, Michelle? And then I'll just pour this on top once it's melted.
Sure.
Do you want me to do that? Awesome.
I love that hot chocolate tip, Julie. My kids love that too. So mine has got a couple of seconds left, but I just want to show you something here. So with the TM6, what I did a second ago is because I hadn't pre-weighed my tomato paste, and I thought I'd just check I had enough in the jar that was open in case I needed to open another jar. So it was doing this. So I just went into these 3 little dots up here, which is the universal symbol for more, and it gives me some options. So one of those options was recipe detail. So I was able to jump forward in my recipe and go, right, how much did I need? Oh yeah, 30 grams. And then I just organised that while you guys were, while Julie was melting some chocolate over there. The other thing that you can access in there is the scales. So sometimes a recipe might say 1 carrot, approximately 100 grams. And if you're not a confident cook or you really have no idea what that is, you can actually just pull the scales up and have a look at it. So that's just another little tip as well. And then if you were just looking at a recipe that you're making tomorrow to find ingredients, you can also cancel from in there as well. So I just thought I'd show you that. So there's only about 30 seconds to go, but earlier today you saw Susie making almond meal, and this recipe also uses a little bit of almond meal, and I just wanted to show you that I actually make almond meal and actually keep it in the freezer, and it doesn't freeze hard, but it keeps it. So for this, I only need 20 grams for this recipe. So I just usually do maybe a couple of 100 grams at a time, and then just keep it in a Ziploc bag in the freezer. And when I need to add a little bit to something, so whether it be a smoothie or a curry or anything like that, you've just got it on hand ready to go. Because you don't want to have to go, I just need to grind up 20 grams. It's a bit of it's not that annoying really, because it's 10 seconds in a Thermomix. That's really easy. All right, so we're ready over here. And my next ingredient is my tandoori paste. So in the famous words of here's some I prepared earlier, here's my beautiful tandoori paste. But I just love to show you now these onions, because they're really beautifully translucent. So you can see here, and I know you couldn't hear because I was not on camera the whole time, but what this does in the high heat function is actually replicate you doing onions in a fry pan. So where in a fry pan you would give it a stir and then let it sizzle and then give it another stir, that's exactly what this does as well. So the blades actually stop turning and give it a sizzle, and that is actually why we cut it in those wedges, so they get sort of more surface area and they get a bit more turning on that. So I'm adding this tandoori paste here, which also smells amazing. It's a really balance between sort of spicy and sweet, with the sort of the cinnamon and then the other spices coming through, which is really lovely. Here's my tomato paste that I was just looking for earlier as to what I needed to put in there. Beautiful. The next ingredient is 100 grams of water. So I'll give you a little tip. The measuring cup is actually 100 grams. Wait, so I can actually go to the tap. I could weigh straight in because I've got a kettle here, but just to show you that I can actually just take my measuring cup to the tap and then just add my 100 grams in that way as well. I didn't fill it up properly. There we go. Beautiful. So the almond meal, which I was just talking about, so we'll tip some of that in. Beautiful. Now you can see here I'm a few grams either way. If you're someone who likes to measure things perfectly, that's okay, but if you are a bit of a she'll be right cook, you can still be one of those people. So what I've got here, because I'm not making this as a chicken curry and my next ingredient is half a kilo of chicken, I'm doing a lot of vegetables. So I'm going to put my hard vegetables in first. Now, if this was keto, these would not be allowed, but as we kind of said, carb friendly,
I'm going to sneak some carrots in because I like the flavour and the texture that they create. So I'm going to pop those in now. And then the next ingredient is a teaspoon of salt. Often when a recipe says salt, and I know a couple of the girls have talked about our stock pastes and things today. This is my vegetable stock paste. I love this stuff. I use it. If I'm running out, I get a bit anxious. So I always like to have an extra couple of jars on hand. So it says a teaspoon of salt. I'm going to put a couple of teaspoons of that in, and it just adds an extra depth of flavour. So you can really add it to anything. So now we're just popping the lid on. I'm going to lift that up so you can see, because I'm now grabbing my Varoma. Now what I've done is I've made a little bit of a well in the bottom there just to allow that steam to circulate more around that cauliflower. So I've got all that on, ready to go. Next. And now the first cook is just 8 minutes at speed 1. All right, I'll bring that back to me for a moment. Julie, is your ganache ready?
It's ready. I poured it. I'm starting to make hot chocolate.
Oh, perfect. Well, that's right. Are you using the kettle mode for that?
I can use the kettle mode. I generally just even set it on 3 minutes for probably about, say, 60 degrees, because I've got precious little boys that, you know, don't like things too hot.
Yeah.
And the good thing is probably normally for the last 10 seconds, I just put on to speed 9, so it gives a little bit of froth, so it feels like they're having a cafe type of hot chocolate.
Perfect. I love that.
No one's going to complain about a Lindt hot chocolate, are they?
Yeah. Beautiful. And have you
Michelle?
got that slice in the fridge yet, or is that there to show us? Is your slice in the fridge, or are you?
Yeah, I've got it in the fridge. I think the chocolate should set pretty quickly, and I'll slice it up.
Yeah, absolutely. Beautiful. Now, Susie, have you got something to show at the moment, or will I keep going?
Michelle, it's Cherie here. I'm just going to pop over to Denise.
Oh,
She
perfect.
wants to
Sorry,
have
perfect.
a quick,
Excellent.
show us the cauliflower.
All right, beautiful. It's very organic today.
Yes, we're organic today. So the pizza base has cooked for the requisite time. Now it says 20 to 25 minutes, and I've had that in for 20. And I can see that this section over here has already cooked really, really well. It's slightly thinner, I think, than this bit. So it is a really good idea to try and get it as flat as you can. But some of the recipes encourage you to flip it and actually go and cook the other side of it so that you get quite just a really firm pizza base. So you can see I can actually handle this. It's come together quite well. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to do that where I flip it. I'm going to put another pizza tray on the top of this one and turn it upside down. Okay, take off the hot one. And peel off the bottom. Peel off that bit of baking paper. And now I'm going to give it another 5 minutes with the bottom exposed, which is going to give this a better crust and keep the whole base together as more of a whole solid. Alrighty, so this is going back into the oven. I'll let you know when it's done.
Perfect, thanks Denise. Beautiful. So on that as well, because I went to the market this morning and cauliflower was $2. And you know, I don't know, but a little while back I was at the IGA and I saw a cauliflower for about $15 and thought that must be wrong, but it went a bit crazy for a while. So one of the things to keep in mind, if you are following that sort of diet or you want to add more into your menu, you can actually buy them when they're on special, and it freezes really well as cauliflower rice. And then from there, it could become a pizza base, it could become a soup, it could actually just be cauliflower rice. So you've actually got a lot of option, and it obviously doesn't take as much space in the freezer as well. So you'd freeze it probably in maybe 250 gram bags or something like that. So then if the family's having spaghetti bolognese, you can have your bolognese on cauliflower rice instead of on the spaghetti. So it gives you a lot of flexibility and sort of planning, especially when things are in season and on special. So that's got about 4 minutes to go. So what I thought I'd do is show you, because I realised just now that I've been using words like Cookidoo, cookie, And some of you might be going, is she gone cuckoo? So I thought I should actually explain to you what that is. So Cookidoo is actually a global recipe platform that has over 60,000 recipes. So it's insane, across 19 countries. So anything that you want to cook will most likely, almost 99%, already be in Thermomix language. And if you've got an existing recipe that you want to convert to Thermomix language, find it on Cookidoo, and then you might tweak it. Maybe the ingredients that we've used are slightly different to your original recipe. But as you've seen today, you can just swap that out and you can create it as your own. So Cookidoo is the platform, and a Cookkey is the Wi-Fi enabled device that sits on the side of a TM5. So it's TM5 specific to give you access to all of those recipes. So I'm going to share my screen for a moment and just show you what Cookidoo looks like while we wait for that rest of that recipe to go. So as you can see here, this is my home screen, and I'll just see if I'm logged in. So hello Michelle, what would you like to cook today? So if I know what I want to cook, I can type something straight in here, and you can see here that we've all the things that we've been playing with this week. I've searched for a few of those things. But if you've just got an ingredient in the cupboard or in the fridge that you go, well, what am I going to make with this? I've got some potatoes, or I've got some chicken, or whatever it might be. So if I was just to type in chicken, for example, I'll get all these different options of chicken recipes, everything from pestos to pastas to stews to risottos. So lots of different options. And I can go search, and it'll tell me that there are 396 different recipes that have chicken. So as you can see here, it's only searched within Australia. So if I was to get rid of that filter, now there's over 1,000 recipes. So if I was to go into the filters, I can actually really drill down as to what I want to make. So I can decide if I want to make a soup, a main meal, whether it be vegetarian, meat, fish. There's lots of beautiful fish recipes as well. Lots of great family recipes, baking sweet, baking savoury. So you really are spoilt for choice. I know there's a couple of pregnant ladies on today. There are actually categories called baby food. So really, the first thing I said when I got my first Thermomix 7.5 years ago was, I wish I had this when my girls were babies. So they were 18 months and 3 at the time. But the amount of times I boiled dry food that I was going to puree in a saucepan was just, I can't count how many times. So anyway, the set and forget facility of Thermomix is just amazing to me. So I can, even now, I always laugh, I have to set a timer on the oven because I'll forget I've put something in there. So you can see here, there's lots of different things that you can choose in your filters, lots of different languages and lots of different countries as well. So I'll just show you all the different countries there. So if I wanted to see those 1,105 results, I can just show me that. If I look at something and go, gee, I really like the look of it. Well, actually, I've been looking at this a little bit. I'm going to have a look at that because that looks really delicious. So it's logged me out, cheeky. Okay, so from here, I can go, do you know what? I'd really like to cook that today. But actually, we all know I'm not cooking that today because I've just got dinner sorted. So how cool is that, that I'm working and cooking my family's dinner at the same time? So what I can do is here go add it to my week. So I might go, do you know what? I'm actually going to have that on Tuesday night and save it in there. And I'd actually also like to add that to my shopping list. So you can go into all of these recipes and do that. So in my recipes here, I've got different collections, bookmarks, I've saved different collections and books, and then I've created some of my own as well. So a bit like Denise showed you earlier, of her low carb collections, I've got a whole lot of range of different collections. Some people have different needs. I've got my cocktails collection right there. And then if we go into my week, it actually shows me the things that I'd plan to cook for the week, and then the shopping list to the side here. So I can go show ingredients. And then with that, it'll list all my ingredients by category. So if you are going to the supermarket, you can have the Cookidoo app on your phone and just be ticking things off as you pop them in the trolley. So as you go through, yep, I've got that, and I've got a lemon, tick them off. And the things that you're just left with, the things that you need. Now, if you don't want to go to the supermarket, which at the moment not everybody does, if you're happy for someone else to go for you, you can share that list and it will actually copy it to the clipboard, and you can text or email it to someone else who lives at your house who might be out and about at the moment. Or you can go straight up here and go order ingredients. And what that's going to do is take me straight into the Woolworths shopping, online shopping store. So with your Team 6, you can, or with your Thermomix, you can sit at home, meal plan for the week, go into order ingredients, which will send you straight to Woolworths, add everything to your cart and press go and have it delivered. So the whole thing can be done without you actually having to leave the house, which at the moment is a bit of an ideal situation. Now you can see here it's selected things for me. So where I've needed sesame oil or soy sauce or any of those things, but it's selected them, but I can swap them. So I can go in and go, oh, no, actually, I really prefer the cumin one. I'm going to select that one. And it'll change it for me. So you can go through the list and do that. Now, if I had added ingredients, you can add extra ingredients to your shopping list as well. So if I had something like dog food on there or cleaning products, it would actually ask me to select which one I wanted. So it doesn't just, I'm just going to stop sharing now so I can see your beautiful faces. So it doesn't just have the things that are part of a recipe. So if one night we're having, you know, sausages and coleslaw, I can add my sausages as part of my list. So you may have heard my Thermomix chime in because that was that first 8 minutes done. It's funny how quick it goes when you're doing lots of things. I find that with dinner most nights. It's not a chore anymore. So I'm just going to pull this down and show you. It just wants me to give that a stir. I'm just, sorry, tilt it down a bit more. So I'm just stirring that just so it gets a really even cook. Now, of course, this recipe is assuming that I had chicken in there. So because, as I mentioned, I'm going to make it vegetarian, I've actually got some vegetables that I've prepared here. So I've just got some mushrooms, capsicum and broccoli. So I'm going to pop that in now. So these, it's just got another sort of 4 to 6 minutes to cook now. And I didn't want any of these to overcook. So that was why I thought I'd put them in at this point. So I'm just popping them all in. A little funny thing in our house that I always cut the stalk into little discs and we call it the broccoli money. And it's hilarious that even from a young age, my kids, we all want to eat the broccoli money. So it's funny. It's just about how you sell it to them sometimes, isn't it? Alrighty, so I've popped all that in. Pop that back on there. And you can see that it's in reverse, so it's not going to chop up my veggies. And had I had chicken in there, it wouldn't have chopped up my chicken either. So now it's just going to be that 4 minutes of cooking that, and then I'm adding a bit of coconut cream, and then it's another 2 minutes cooking, and that's dinner done. So this is actually a 30-minute meal, and if you've pre-made that tandoori paste and have that on hand, it's something that makes it a really quick meal to prep as well. Now, am I still talking, girls, or is someone ready to show something?
And Julie's got her hand up.
Julie?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Beautiful.
All right, so these are the slices. I think they look pretty amazing. I did have to pour the ganache, like kind of, you know, spread it quite quickly because I popped the slices in the freezer, so it made the chocolate set quite quick. The boys have their hot chocolate. I poured a little bit extra for myself as well, but otherwise, I might give them a bit of a try.
You know what I love about that? You'd pay a fortune for something like that. If you went to a cafe, yeah, you pay $4 or $5 a slice for that. How is it?
These are delicious. I'm actually surprised. I didn't know what to expect. They're really good. I think if you wanted to maybe make them into like a jam raw Lamington, maybe you could get some frozen raspberry maybe and mill it, I think, and maybe pop some in the middle. So, you know, we're not adding any sugar or anything, but it'll get, you know, you'll have that kind of jam texture as well. But these are really good.
That would be quite cool, actually. So you could do a layer and then put a layer of frozen raspberries, and then I think we could
fit a little bit of, you know, raspberry in between it.
Yeah, yum.
I'll have to make it again.
I think I've got all those ingredients in my fridge and pantry, Julie, so I think you've just inspired me.
Yeah, no, I think I'm not going to tell the boys. I'm going to try and eat as many as I can by myself.
Awesome, I love it. Thank you so much for doing that. That's brilliant. Enjoy your hot chocolate and your Lamington Slice.
No problems. Cherries is a very good idea as well. Cherries would be good.
Oh, yeah.
It would be almost like a cherry ripe slice.
Oh, it would.
There we go. Now we're thinking.
No, any other ideas in the chat? If anyone's got any ideas of what else you'd like to add to that Lamington slice,
Yeah,
I love it.
I agree.
Now, Denise's pizza's probably come out of the oven now, that next 5 minutes. So thank you so much, Julie.
No
Thanks for
problem.
listening today. Don't eat it all at once.
Wait. Thank you.
Take a photo.
I will.
Hang on, Denise, you're muted. Oh no, you're not muted, I just can't hear you. Denise, you haven't got sound, hun?
Can you hear me?
Oh, there we go, yep.
Aha, fantastic. Sorry about that, guys. So here we go. You can see that the pizza base is really, really solid. I can handle it. It's a solid thing, and it's got a nice finish sort of on both sides. But remembering that when you dress the pizza, it is going to go back into the oven for another 5 or 10 minutes as you cook the ingredients on the top. So you don't want to overcook your base, but just get it to to where it's nice and handleable. So I'm just going to let this cool down. And then I'm going to get a really big bit of Glad wrap out, and I'm going to wrap it 2 ways, possibly with some either a piece of kitchen toweling paper or those little silicone, those little gel packs that come in with tortillas and things like that absorb moisture, just to keep it nice and dry while it's in the freezer. And then that will come out on our next pizza night. And yeah, it is great, Michelle, that you mentioned that cauliflowers are so cheap. I was actually at the supermarket this morning. I picked up 2. They were $2.50 each. I went, wow, what a great time to be making pizza bases and popping them into the freezer when cauliflowers are not $7 each, but are only $2.50 each.
Perfect. Thank you so much,
Low
Denise.
carb pizza cooking, everyone.
Thank you. Thanks for presenting today. Have a great birthday, Eliza.
Thank you.
I hope your birthday cake's not made out of cauliflower.
No, no, we've actually got the chocolate fondant cake about to happen here.
Awesome.
The molten 6-egg chocolate fondant cake. So that's going to be a treat for the afternoon.
Perfect. Excellent.
See you, everyone.
Thanks.
Thanks, Susie. Might be ready.
Yes.
Oh, yes, I'm
With a
ready.
seedy
Yeah.
low carb.
So the bread's just out of the oven. So actually it's out of the oven for a few minutes, but I was letting it cool. So you just let it cool for 10 minutes. So yeah, it looks pretty good there. I'm just have it on the cooling tray to cool. So I've actually had this in the freezer already. So I just wanted to show you what it looks like sliced. I'm down to my second last slice. So I keep it in one of the Systema containers. It's the flat. I think it's the deli container, so it fits really well in the freezer. So I'm just going to do the very last step with the soup. So with blending any pureeing any soup, you bring it up slowly to speed 4, which I've already done to save time for a minute. So I'll bring it up to speed 4, and then we'll bring it up to speed 9. So we transfer the soup to a thermal serving bowl. So I've got my thermal server here, just to cover it and put aside. So it's lovely, smooth soup. And I have the chicken that was cooking on top, which cooked for 30 minutes, and I just gave it a stir halfway through with the taco seasoning on the top. So I've actually had a taste of the chicken, and I can confirm with the taco seasoning, which I've just made today for the first time, that it tastes amazing. So I'm just going to pop the cooked chicken back into the bowl. So all my chicken pieces I'm going to pop into the bowl. And this will shred it. So shredded chicken is something that I've just started doing pretty recently with my Thermomix. So it's great for putting with salads, for our sandwiches, and obviously to mix through this soup as well. And so I'll just pop that into my second bowl. So it's 4 seconds, speed 4. I forgot to show you what the chicken looks like. Just gonna do 4 seconds. So divide soup between serving bowls and serve top with the shredded chicken. So as you can see, there's a really good job of shredding the chicken. You can put it on for another 2 seconds, but yeah, that's shredded enough for me. So I had a late breakfast today, so I'm having a very late lunch. So, I'm not sure if I mentioned earlier, but this is actually a skinny mixers recipe. Anyone who's had a Thermomix for a while has probably heard of skinny mixers. And this is from the classic skinny mixer collection in Cookidoo. And it's from her first book, The Healthy Mix 1. So I'm just going to pop the chicken on top. That's a big bowl. And I'm going to keep the rest of the soup in the thermos server for my family to have later. And here's the creamy cauliflower soup, and I'm going to have my Seedy low carb bread with it as well. Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much for that, Susie. Beautiful. You've actually inspired me to make that soup. I've got all those ingredients.
Well, today's actually, I've made a couple of the other cauliflower soups. I've done the spicy cauliflower soup and the other one with the bacon dust, but I've actually never made this one before. So it just goes to show how the Thermomix is so good for inspiring you to try new things, because I didn't get a chance to do a practice run, and I've had a taste and I can confirm that it's really delicious.
I think that's really cool. Like, we don't do practice runs here. If we're making something we haven't made before, we just do it in front of you. And if something's going to go wrong, it will. But so far, it hasn't. So I think that just shows you don't need to know how to cook. You just need to know how to read. With that spice mix, because I actually made that tacos. I've made that a couple of times now. Did you add chili?
No, I went easy with the chili because we're not very adventurous when it comes to spicy food, especially my kids.
Yeah.
So I think I can't remember, but I think I used half the chili that was recommended. But yeah, it's really good. Really good.
The first time I made it, I just followed the recipe and it was super hot. So
okay. Yeah. I'm pretty sure I used whenever chili is in a recipe, I never use more than half.
Yeah. Good tip for those cooking with little ones to do that.
Yes.
I've made a lot of chili dishes without chili. So I think we can either go to myself or Chelsea now. If yours come out of the oven now, Chelsea.
Can we just see the soup, please?
Oh, sorry.
Oh, sure.
The camera.
Yep.
Oh, I'll look at that. Can you lift your spoon up so we can see the texture?
Yep, sure. So it's a very, I've mixed the chicken through. Sorry, I've had some already. And it's a very smooth texture.
Beautiful.
I did have it on speed 4 for quite a while. I probably could have had it on speed 9 for longer, but it is a very thick. It is quite a thick soup.
No, the chicken doesn't blend through, does it? You leave the chicken as the shredded pieces, don't you?
Yes. Sorry, yes. You put the soup in the bowl first, and then you top it with the shredded chicken.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've mixed it through because I've had some already. So yeah, that's what it did actually look exactly like the picture when I put it in first.
Having said that, anyone with little ones, if you're trying to hide protein, I do have a customer who said she used to blend her chicken into her pumpkin soup for her daughter because she couldn't get her daughter to eat any sort of protein or meat things. So she actually used to blend it through. So if you wanted to blend it through, you certainly could. But this recipe,
yeah, you could just pop it back. Yeah.
Yeah. Beautiful. Thanks, Susie.
Okay. Thanks, Michelle.
Mine's ready now too, if you'd like to. Beautiful. So I've taken my chicken out of the oven. I might just grab, sorry, it's quite warm here. Show you there. It smells delicious. And so this, I have plated some as well to show you. And I will just top it with a bit of extra sour cream and then a sprinkling of the parsley, and that's ready to go. Tonight when we have this for dinner, I'll then, pop the rest of the mixture into my thermo server, and that will keep hot, stay hot for another 2 hours. So when we're ready for dinner, it should be still nice and warm. I'll serve this with some rice when we have it for dinner, and using the rice cooker mode on my Thermomix, and while the rice is cooking, I'll probably steam some green vegetables on top in my Varoma. So this is something that my whole family will have. So I've got 2 little kids as well. So dinner's ready to go.
Thanks so much, Chelsea. We actually make that one. I know you said it's the first time you've made it. That was recommended to me a little while ago, and we make it quite regularly, and it's a hit in this house. So yeah, and super easy, super easy.
Very easy. Thanks, Mish.
Thank you. So back to me. Mine's finished, but because we were talking seedy bread and not everyone's doing low carb, I just wanted to show you this loaf of bread I made yesterday, which is the 5-seed loaf that's just in the basic cookbook. And I've got this Thermomix knife here with the guide, and so you can cut perfect slices as well. But I made this the other day, and my kids thought it was the best bread they'd ever had. I actually made it in a cooking session with Milan, who's on here today, and I used to make it all the time, and I hadn't made it for ages, and now I'm like, why haven't I been making that? So, you know, these sorts of things are so simple and, you know, packed with nutrition. It's really delicious as well. So if you're not doing low carb, go the 5-seed loaf. And now I'm just going to bring you over here because this is all ready over here. And I know we've run a little bit over, but we did sneak an extra dish in. So I think you've got good value for money today on this class. Well, I hope so. So what I'm going to do now is just pour this into the thermo server. So as Chelsea mentioned, she's popping hers into a thermo server as well. The thermo server will keep your food hot or cold for 2 hours. And if you have a look at this, I love doing this as vegetarian because I just love all the colours and the flavour. It's just the most delicious curry. And the tandoori paste just adds something really beautiful to it. We're talking about, you know, different things you can do with that tandoori paste. You know, mix it with some yogurt, for example, and coat some chicken or vegetables in it. I coated sweet potato in it the other day with the yogurt and the tandoori paste and roasted it in the oven. It was so delicious. So I'm just going to show you what that looks like. And to plate that up, I'm just going to put a little bit of cauliflower rice in a bowl here. And this might be my afternoon tea as well as my dinner. I love that whole eat the rainbow thing. Whenever I make anything vegetarian, I've got a lot of friends who are sort of gluten-free as well, vegetarian and gluten-free. So I do find I make a lot of things like that. And I'm going to do a Julie and do a bit of a live taste test. So I'm not popping the lid on that because it won't keep it cold if I've got the lid off. Now that's around 2.6 litre thermo server. Just so you know, the Thermomix, the TM6, and if you've got a cook key, the TM5 also has a pre-clean mode. So in a few minutes when we're finished, I'm just going to pop some water in that and drop a dishwashing liquid and set it on the pre-clean mode. So it makes life very easy. So I've got a 2.6 litre round one here, which is where our dinner is sitting. But what I've also got over here is an oval thermo server. So this oval thermo server, which is a 2.5 litre, I'm going to transfer the cauliflower rice to in a moment. But this is actually our purchase offer this month. So a free oval thermo server and a festive flavour cookbook. So these are like hen's teeth. But if you have already purchased and you can't, you know, you don't want to buy another one, then if you host, you can actually access both of these as a host gift. So it's really worth, they're really worth having, and especially, you know, when our lives go back to normal, it's hard to imagine now, but it will one day. It's so nice being able to make dinner, have it there sitting hot, and then everyone can kind of come through and eat a hot meal when they sort of, you know, when busy lives come back into play again. So I think everyone's shown you their dishes. So I'm just going to finish off by thanking you for being with us today. We've really enjoyed it. I think I did explain what Cookidoo was, and I would just love to say, I did mention before, if you'd love to have your own private experience, please reach out to your consultant. We love doing those as well. But we as a team are running them twice a week during ISO because, you know, we want to entertain each other somehow. And we know that cooking shows are really popular. So we're providing a cooking show with questions. So how cool is that? I think I'm really grateful to have the beautiful bunch of women who work in my team, and we all just, I say work, it doesn't actually really feel like work. We all really support each other, and between us, we all have different areas of knowledge and skill sets with cooking, and we're very multicultural. So we've got some Asian girls and French and Italian and Irish. So we've got a really great mix of people who've got different skill sets and different things they're cooking, which is always inspiring us as well. So design your own cooking experience, very much so. Sometimes people at the moment are just wanting to see things like stock paste or vegetable paste or tandoori paste and those pantry staples, and other times they're looking for family meals, so it might be one pot cooking, pasta dishes for little kids, any of that sort of stuff. So reach out to your consultant because she'll have lots of ideas to share with you. So I did mention before that if you are looking for something at the moment, whether you're out of work or you're just wanting some sort of social connection, because I know a few of my friends have got, they're still working, but they're sitting at home at a desk with no people interaction, and they're really missing that. So if you'd like to know a bit more about how to get your Thermomix half price or earn it completely, please stay on at the end and I will have a little chat with you about it. Or if you've got to go now, we do run business information sessions, so you can jump onto one of those. Last but not least, I'd really love everyone to maybe just pop one word in the chat box about what you've learnt today or what you've enjoyed about today. It doesn't have to be one word, it can be a few words. And if you know, at the start you said that whichever one was important to you, so whether that be saving time, saving money, creativity, being healthier, I'd like, if you've had that answer today, I'd love to hear what you've seen that's done that for you, and any themes that you'd like coming forward. So whether you'd like us to focus on a theme, so a cultural theme, so whether we do Indian cooking or Italian cooking or Greek cooking, so if you're interested in that sort of thing, or if you're interested more in things like comfort food, family meals, paleo, keto, vegetarian. So, you know, if you maybe pop that in, I will have a read through that later, because we do always go, right guys, what are we going to do next? So if you tell us what you want to see, then that's what we'll do. Thank you so much, everybody. I will just finish with saying, as I mentioned before, if you would like to place an order for Thermomix today, please let your consultant know and she will send you an order link. For those, I've had a couple of people say to me they were concerned about if we went into stage 4. I know there's rumours of that. When that happened in New Zealand, Thermomix Australia, because we also service New Zealand, spoke to the post, and Thermomix was actually considered an essential item. So Thermomixes were still delivered during stage 4. So if that's an underlying concern that you have, that's historically what happened just recently with Thermomix in Australia and New Zealand. So we have plenty of stock of Thermomixes, and since isolation was happened last week, our Melbourne warehouse actually ran out of stock, and they're just getting some more from interstate, which is due in sort of Monday, Tuesday this week. So we are on it and we can service your needs. Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm going to hang around now if you've got any questions or would like to talk about anything, and I'm going to do my little live taste test of my curry. So good. So good. Who's hungry right now? Okay, I need to stop grunting. It's really good. Thank you, everybody. Cauliflower in my teeth.